those cards. Told me about my cancer. Told me about this place. Maybe not in so many words, but the signs were all there if I'd known how to read them. One day I realized just how small life is, how it all goes by so fast. You start to wonder how it could be anything but the beginning of some grand adventure, or maybe it's the middle. But I don't think it's the end. Not anymore. Once I realized that, things didn't seem so scary. None of us get to stay forever.
I don't need forever,
Can you imagine showing up in a place like this to find out that your fiance is here?
What did you see? I feel like something is watching. But then I wake up and I can never remember.
Is that her? She looks scary. You're gonna be a great mom.
You're pregnant?
How did you know?
Sweetie, I've had 4 kids and 7 grandchildren. I know an expecting mother when I see one.
Is my baby okay?
Let's see what the cards have to say.
After the premiere of From Season 4, I couldn't stop thinking about a couple of things. Like the fact that we've been so focused on the Anghkooey Kids and their importance to the story that we never really thought much about the parents. And sure, we didn't really learn anything about the parents until Season 3, where we learned that the parents had sacrificed their kids so that they could live forever. But this actually left me wondering, which parents? As the people Fatima's referring to in The Monsters in the Woods could be a separate group of parents compared to the ones who originally started it all, and the ones who are actually the parents of the Anghkooey Kids. One piece of evidence to solidify the fact that these are separate groups is the fact that there is teens amongst the monsters that we see walking around. That means whoever the parents of the Anghkooey Kids were are different than the monsters we see from the woods. And I actually believe that the monsters, or the people that were once humans, as Fatima says,
Those things in the woods, they were people once. They made a bargain with something horrible.
were actually attempting to recreate the same sacrifice the Anghkooey Kids were a part of. But if that's the case, then who are the parents of the Anghkooey Kids? Well, we have an answer of that with Jade and Tabitha, a pair who now potentially share a very serious familial bond. And that's despite everything we saw of the Matthews family. There were quite a few wholesome moments of them trying to bond, but I think everyone can agree that Jim and Tabitha were not parents of the year. While they did try here and there was just so many times they seemed to completely forget that their kids even existed. This is potentially a continuing fault of theirs, considering what happened to Thomas, but when we look at the stories of both Tabitha and Jade, we realize they could be reincarnations of the original parents who started it all, as they both received memories of their previous lives here. And sure, these could be implemented memories, specifically meant to torture them, but they could also be a real connection to the grand story at play. And if they do share some familial connection, I find it pretty ironic that Tillie says this to Jim.
Can you imagine showing up in a place like this to find out that your fiance is here?
What did you say?
But let's take a moment to look at the other parents within Fromville who may have a part to play. I just want to acknowledge what a great parent Boyd has been throughout the series. Not only managing being a leader for so many people with different wants and needs, but also genuinely taking the time to take his son seriously and really proving that he's trying his best for him. And I get people are frustrated with Ellis's angst he's had over the seasons towards his father, but considering during both of those times he was grieving over his mom and worried over Fatima, I'm gonna cut him a little bit of slack. But it's nice to see that come season 4's premiere, their bond is growing stronger, which only means Ellis is probably cooked if you've seen my other videos. Still, Ellis is now kind of a father himself now, so maybe he'll get a chance to bond with his very own son. Either way, Victor's dad also tries, maybe potentially feeling guilty for missing out on so much of his son's life, but the point is he's putting the effort in. I honestly thought there was something brewing between Victor's dad and Donna, but I don't know if we'll ever see that come to fruition.
You know what? There is a closet upstairs where we keep the good stuff. How about we get you fixed up?
I'd appreciate that.
But what is the overarching story that potentially connects all of these lingering details? Well, I believe that all revolves around one thing, that being the number 47. See, if you saw my season 4 premiere video, I touched on the fact that 47 is a frequent number used throughout the series. But why is 47 such an important number to know? Well, we see 47 on the display on the radio back in season 2, right before Boyd saw hallucinations of his wife. We also know they were gearing towards silver bullets, which the atomic number for silver is 47. We also see that within the lighthouse, 2 dates, if they connected, would actually equal 47 years of difference. There's also Father Cautry's referring to the fact that they could be living within the 47th book of the Bible. And come season 4, we find that as soon as there's 47 residents left, things really start to kick off. But who was the last person to die, resulting in there being only 47 residents? Well, that was, of course, Tillie. Mysterious woman who arrived in Fromville and was super happy about it, dancing in the rain. Now, she did say she had cancer, and she could be someone who just is enjoying life and embracing it however she can before she goes. But let's embrace the idea that she has more of a story at play here than we realize. I believe she wasn't just happy because it was raining, but because she was finally back in a place she's been before. But why would she be so happy to be back in such a nightmarish realm? Well, I think it's because she could finally reconnect with her family tree.
Sweetie, I've had 4 kids and 7 grandchildren.
Once again, we see another alluding to the numbers of 4 and 7. But if she was there to visit them, who exactly could they have been? Well, like I said earlier, I don't actually think it's any of the smiling monsters or the ones Fatima referred to in general. But instead, the 7 grandkids could have been the Anghkooey Kids we see on 7 stone slabs. And if these Anghkooey Kids were actually around before the smiling monsters we see, just judging off of their attire, then we can start looking into who those kids' parents could actually be. And we already have that confirmed that 2 of them are both Jade and Tabitha, 2 people whose past incarnations were here since the very beginning. And I believe that the story of the smiling residents and both Christopher and Miranda were actually just one more iteration in this cycle that keeps repeating. Meaning, when Tillie's referring to 4 of her kids, 2 of them could be both Tabitha and Jade. Not in an incest way, but in an in-law way. But then, who exactly could be the other 2? Well, I believe that could actually be both the man in yellow and the kimono woman. If you think about it, the kimono woman is the only entity we've seen actually interact with the monsters so far. And it directly brought them a child to reignite their numbers. A child that Elgin did specify was the kimono woman's and not Fatima's. And following this line of thinking, this whole family could potentially just be very ancient mystical creatures of some kind, like Fae that some people refer to. Or they could have been a regular family and one of the first ones to actually arrive within Fromville, and the first ones to really tap into the powers that Fromville actually possessed. It's possible that they gained access here through the man in yellow and the kimono woman utilizing some sort of ritual of some kind. And upon the ritual working and bringing them there, they kept tapping into these dark arts, leaving this family the most ancient family of Fromville and the most powerful. But I don't think they're all on the same page. Well, I think Tillie is the matriarch of this family and potentially is kind of a peace-loving person, not wanting to cause any conflict. I believe the man in yellow is utilizing the powers of Fromville for his own specific need for carnage and madness. The kimono woman's tether to Fromville has to do with something in the birthing cycle of kids and the monsters, or potentially a direct connection to the dark arts that started all this in general. And Jade and Tabitha could have been a couple who were the only 2 to actually work against this entire ritual. If the theory is true that when you die in this town you actually wake up in the real world, it's possible that Jade and Tabitha's original incarnations at the very beginning didn't fully die, and their souls are left here to come back and revisit the cycle in an attempt to save those same kids they failed to long ago. A cycle that potentially repeats itself every 47 years. This also means that if the Fromville residents play their cards right, they could potentially gain access to the same powers these entities do. We already see how Boyd's bugs are very resemblant of the man in yellow's transformation. If you watched my storybook theory, this whole thing could be a place where all of your imaginations can come to life within the story. And while most people don't really have control over those imaginations, and those imaginations could be used specifically against them, like their fears, some entities here, or people who have lived here a long time, like the family I'm talking about, could utilize these imaginative properties for themselves. Which also potentially means that the entities like the kimono woman and the man in yellow are actually trapped there, enjoying the power they have and the carnage they can bring, but potentially seeking more. As why would this family be caught in this everlasting cycle? Well, for one, it's obvious Jade and Tabitha are trying to stop it and release the kids from their imprisonment, but it's possible the man in yellow is trying to bring this same madness he can cause here and bring it out into the real world. Or maybe it's just something as simple as wanting to go back to the real world after being trapped in Fromville for so long. Either way, to reiterate, I feel long ago there was a family who found themselves trapped here or actually opened a portal through some sort of blood ritual here. And this family was Tillie, the man in yellow, his wife the kimono woman, Jade and Tabitha's previous incarnations, 7 grandkids in the 7 Anghkooey Kids, and potentially other yet to be revealed characters like the pilgrim painting we keep seeing, and they're all locked in this pocket dimension cosmic chess game. It's possible the man in yellow is utilizing the imaginations of the Anghkooey Kids to keep things chaotic and messy, or maybe just keep things from getting better. And he could have also tricked the smiling residents that we see got turned into monsters into thinking they could be just like him. But then that leaves us with one lingering question. Who is the boy in white, and what is his grand goal throughout the story? In my eyes, he also wants to keep Fromville the way it's running now, maybe potentially ridding it of its madness and nightmares, but he doesn't seem too desperate to leave either way. If you guys have any ideas, feel free to let me know down below.
I'm sorry you won't be here to see what comes next.
It's my favorite part.
She said it was a place that was everywhere, but you couldn't find it if you tried.
I always thought the town was the worst part. And then I went through the tree.
See, you were lucky. The sun was still in the sky when you got here. People came to help. Not everybody gets that. Those things out there, they like to hunt. They like to play.
Everybody here just talks about how afraid they are of dying.
They're coming.
I don't think that's the worst thing that can happen to you here.
There's darkness in the forest. Nightmares you can't even begin to imagine.
It's all just a dream.
Things we were never meant to see. Things that...
Said this place couldn't break. You don't fucking break me! That's what she said. Do you remember that, boy?
We don't have time for it. You think those things that come out of the forest at night did this? They're just the tip of the spear.
You can't go to sleep! Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you listening to me? The talisman will not protect you. There is nowhere that you are safe! No! Tonight, tomorrow, every one of you is gonna die!
That was a hell of a song. Knowledge comes with cost.